Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I make this full-size senior mum. So I'm going to start with the streamers first, and I have a 6-inch backer. I have a couple of them. I'm going to fold one in half and then cut it. So this is going to be the backer I use for the ribbon streamers and then attaching the braids and chains. And I got this tip from Connie at the Southern Cottage. If you have not seen this tip, I think it's super smart and saves me a lot of stress. Because when you're stapling all those ribbons and braids and chains, you can go from the top very easily with your stapler, which I'll show you, instead of having to come over from the side every time. And so if you have not checked out Connie, please go over to her channel because she's not only creative, she's super smart and gives you all kinds of time-saving, stress-relieving tips. Okay, I just added another mat there. That way I'd have 36 inches of measurements. And I was trying to decide whether to do 36-inch streamers or 30-inch. You know, for me, I usually do 30-inch on the full-size mums because I think of the shorter girls and not having a mum that's too long. If someone's taller and they want 36 inches, I will gladly make them one as long as they want. But I decided to stick with my 30 inches. And then, of course, I'm cutting it a little bit over 30 inches so I have enough to cut or to attach to the backer. So if you want 30 inches coming off the backer, then you want to cut it at 31 to 32 inches. Sometimes 1 inch is not enough to attach to the backer, so you may want to go like 1.5 inches to 2 inches is what I usually do. But they're not all cut at the same length. I'm not being OCD about it or anything. And I'm not counting how many, I'm just cutting several and then I will cut more as needed. Okay, I'm putting my backer where I need it lengthwise, so I know I've got 30 inches of ribbon coming from the very end of the backer down to the end of the ribbon, so 30 inches. And I always like to start in the middle. That's just the way I like to start it. That's the way it works well for me. And then I start layering on top of the middle one. So I always layer every ribbon. I don't just throw them up there. I like to layer them. Sometimes on the bigger mums, I will attach the ribbons in an upright position, like off of my art easel or off of my mannequin. And I'm not so OCD about how they're layered like this. When I do it that way, I'm just holding them up, holding them up and seeing where they fall and then attaching them like that. And there may be a whole bunch of ribbon streamers and there may be more on one side than the other side, just kind of depending on how full I want it. And I did work on a double mum last year, and I did attach those ribbon streamers in an upright position. It was the Wada mum. So if you're curious on how I attach them like that, you can go watch that. I don't remember if it was a live or a video, but just search Crafty Bug and Wada mum. You're going to find it, or double mum. So I am going to make this mum not as wide as I usually go, and there you see I'm stapling from the top of the backer, so that's what I was talking about. So I'm not going to go as wide on this mum. Again, this is going to be a pre-made mum to put on my Etsy shop. I always try to put some, or the last couple of years I've tried to put some pre-made mums up there for people that are last minute shoppers. There's always last minute people that either wait till the last minute, or they say they didn't know that homecoming was so soon. And there's always something that happens, or last minute date, stuff like that. There's always something that happens. And so I wanted to do 2 senior mums this year. Last year I only did one, and it was gold and white. And of course everybody was asking me if I had a silver and white one. So I'm doing a silver and white one, but I'm going to do a gold and white one too. And I decided to go ahead and do a full size, a bigger mum. Last year I didn't put any over mid-size in my pre-made, so I'm taking a chance by doing a couple of big mums. We'll see how that goes. If they sell, it's kind of it's a little bit stressful, like causing me a little anxiety on these pre-made mums, because you just don't know what people are going to need, what color schemes, what size, or anything. And so you're taking a chance by making some pre-made mums and throwing up there. So hopefully people will be looking for these. I'm thinking that senior mums are more important than anything else. And then I wanted to go ahead and take a chance with some bigger ones. On the gold and white one, I'm still trying to decide. I may do one with multiple flowers. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how that goes. You may have noticed the 2 ribbons on each end are just slightly shorter. I kind of like to taper. Sometimes I'll do the same length across the bottom, but I'm really like a tapered person. I really like the sides to be tapered up. Sometimes just by 1 ribbon, sometimes several ribbons. I change it up all the time because I don't want 2 mums to look the same. But whatever style you like is what you should do. And I'm just filling in where I think it needs more. Just keep filling in, and you can make your mum as full as you want. You don't have to do a whole bunch of layers to make it look full, because by the time you're adding pretty ribbons and then braids and chains and stuff, it's going to look really full. And if you're layering your ribbons like I'm doing, you make sure they all overlap, then it's going to be nice and full. If you're just throwing them up there where there's gaps in between the ribbons when you hold it up, then it's not going to look full. So make sure that you're overlapping the ribbons, whether you're attaching them laying flat like that or hanging up. You want to make sure that they all overlap and there's no gaps in there. That's just a pet peeve of mine. I think it makes the mum look so much nicer and fuller. So here I'm just cutting a V shape at the end of all the ribbon ends, just to make them look nice and pretty. You can leave yours cut straight across. However you want to cut the ends of your ribbons, you can cut them at a slant, you can cut a V shape, you can cut them straight across. Just make sure they look nice and clean. That's another pet peeve of mine, is when they're all jacked up at the bottom and all over the place. So please just trim them up and make them look nice. Try to keep them kind of the same length, like the middle ones at least. So, like, you don't want one that's like 6 inches longer than the rest of the ribbons, is what I'm talking about. If you want to taper them like I'm doing, or do some fun design at the bottom, go for it. Be creative. Don't be afraid to take chances when making mums. Like, try to just be creative, be yourself, be different. I'm all about that. Okay, so these are wired ribbons. If you couldn't see that, I'm sure you figured that out. And again, they don't have to overlap each one, but I still want it to be full and for it to cover most of the space. What I'm doing here is pulling out the wires with some needle nose pliers. Usually you can pull the wires out pretty easily. Most of these kind of wired ribbons, they'll come out really easily. And I do that because I want the ribbons to flow and lay naturally like the other ribbons. If you leave the wires in it, then they're going to be kind of stiff, and then if every time you kind of move, or whoever's wearing them on moves or gets bumped, that ribbon is going to hold its shape to however it gets bumped or moved or whatever. So then the ribbons will be all messed up, and I don't think it would look as good. It's your choice on how you do that, if you care about that or not. I just like it. I know it's an extra step. It takes a little bit longer. I don't care. I like it. I like the effect, and I like using the wired ribbons, so I do that. And then plus, this is a good way to add some sparkle, some glitter, some bling, and it also, I think it also makes the mum look better because you've got some really pretty, like this is kind of a satiny looking wired ribbon, and then it's got the glitter circles, so it's going to sparkle and shine and just make it look classier, in my opinion. You don't have to use wired ribbons. You can stick to the regular homecoming mum ribbons, and you could also do diamond dust, which I'm going to add some of that on there too. So whatever, you don't have to do this because I do it. You don't have to add stuff that I add. If you like it, great. If you don't do it. It's up to you. I am never going to tell somebody that they have to make their mum like I do, that they have to do the same techniques, that they have to use the same products that I do. I'm just helping you learn, giving you inspiration and motivation. That's why I'm here. So take what you need, and what you don't need, leave it. All right, then you get a big mess of wires. Once you're done, you get all these wires, and I have to be careful because if I drop any, guess who? That little four-legged beast back there that you can see will get a hold of them and chew on them and try to eat them. So I have to be careful about making sure that stuff goes in the trash. So again, I am going to cut the ends of these in a V shape, make them pretty. They don't have to be the exact same length of the other ribbons. They acetate or luster is what I didn't say that earlier. I apologize. That was 2.5 inch. Luster or acetate is the two that I prefer to use. You can use floral ribbons. You can use polypropylene. Any kind of stiff creasable ribbon is what you want to use. And then I'm just going to start layering these and attaching them. Some are a little bit shorter than others, so I'm trying to find the shortest one to put on the very end since I tapered those up anyway. Then I'm just going to start stapling them. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the diamond dust, like I said, also known as just diamond ribbon. So whatever you call it or looking for it. A lot of people call it diamond dust, but I think on the labels it says just diamond ribbon or something like that. I can't remember for sure. There's a couple of different brands and they're made the same. The silver and the gold are just slightly different in color, but yeah, either one is fine. You see that one's got the purple label and then there's one with a white label, but I can't remember what the brands are. So I'm just going to add a few of these. And then I'm also going to add a very thin diamond dust too. And I can't remember what the size was. I'll try to look that up. And I can't remember where I got it from. Either L&M or All American. I can't remember which one this year. But I'm attaching it as well for sparkle. And I can also use it to attach like bells and trinkets and stuff. So for either one, just like I said, I'm just attaching a few of those. I'm actually using that ribbon on some of the, I'll be using that ribbon on braids and chains as well. So I don't want to use too much in the background because then when I add my braids and chains, it's all going to be, it would all like kind of blend in together. So there's that thin one. And that diamond dust is actually like a stripe design. So it's slightly different too. It's very pretty. I used it on a whip braid recently. Very, very pretty. Like I used it to layer with a whip braid and it was very pretty. So I'm just going to add a few of these here and there, some short, some long. Like I said, I can use them later on for braid or for trinkets and bells if I want to, or ornaments. It's just nice to have some already attached if you need them. And then if I don't use them for that, they're still there for sparkle in the background. So even if they get covered up with a braid or chain, when the person is wearing it, moving around, walking and stuff, all that stuff is going to move around and you're going to see that underneath. Okay, for the first braid, I'm going to make a Möbius for it. And I am using the number 9, which is the 1.3 inch, or also known as 1 5/16. So I'm going to double the white, and then I'm also going to use the diamond dust. Now with the diamond dust, I don't double it. You can double it with the white on the background. It's kind of like a silverish color on the background. It's such a thicker ribbon. I don't feel like you need to double with anything with that. But the doubling this will make it thicker and it'll make it like they're more even in thickness. So using the diamond dust and then using 2 of the acetate or lusters is going to be more equivalent to the diamond dust, if that makes sense. So a lot of times when you're making a braid and you're using something like this that's a thicker ribbon and then just one single layer of acetate or luster, you can tell a difference, like because one will be thicker than the other, and it'll make a nicer braid if you double up the regular ribbon. Now, a lot of mum makers will tell you to double the ribbons no matter what. To me, it depends on the braid. It depends on your budget, the person's budget, stuff like that. If you need to double the ribbons to make it look nicer, then please do so. But there's a lot of instances where you don't need to double the ribbons. So it's really up to you and what you think looks good. Now, some of these braids, if you're using a light color and then a dark color, you'll want to double up the light color for sure. That way, especially if it's a white, because it'll be crisp and it'll stay really white and crisp. Because if you layer the white in a braid, when you're layering it over the dark colors, it will kind of gray it. So if you want it to really stay white and crisp and clean, then double the whites. So I'm just bringing up my video because I want to make sure on the length and then how I started it with the number 9 ribbon. And I'm doing 4 yards is what I put to get about a 30-inch braid. So just making sure, because it's been a little while since I made one, and this is only like the 3rd time I've made one with the number 9 ribbon. So just checking, that's why I pulled that up. Now, I will tell you on these white ribbons, I am using an acetate and a flora ribbon. I have a roll of flora ribbon, which the flora is just slightly wider than the acetate. But for backing it up, I decided to just use the flora because you're not actually going to see the backside. And that's a good way to double it up and be a little bit and save just a little bit of money because the flora is a little bit cheaper than the other ribbons. And then I was also making sure that I was putting the diamond dust in the correct position, because you do have to have the diamond dust in a certain position for it to be seen correctly. So you want the diamond dust facing up, and I've got it on the left side. And I'm just making sure those 2 white ribbons are nice and straight. You see how the diamond dust is off to the left and facing up. That's the way you want it, so it will braid correctly, because of course you want the diamond dust to be showing when you're making this braid. Now I know this kind of looks white on white in the video because the colors are so close. So if you want a better video, I do have one with the number 9 ribbon where I'm using contrasting colors. So if you want, like I said, if you want a better video and that you can see this better, I'll try to put a link to that video, but you can just search Möbius braid. And then I learned how to make the Möbius braid from Connie. So again, if you'll support her and go watch her Möbius braid videos, I know she's got at least one for sure. I know she worked on it during 1 or 2 lives too. So please go support her and watch her videos too. And then when you're making the Möbius, it's a military braid, but you're wrapping around first before you're going into the loop. You're wrapping around the back and then you're making your loop. So that's the only difference between that and a military braid. And let's see what it's going to look like on the mum. I'm not going to attach it yet because I don't have the other braids made, but that is perfect. The length turned out perfectly for me. So again, that was 4 yards. I don't know how many yards for each length of braid. I've only made this size so far, so it's going to be experimentation with it. So remember, 4 yards to get this, so you can just play around with the sizes. Like I said, I don't have the exact sizes that you'll need, and I don't know exactly what all braids I'm making. This is the loop chain that I'm going to make now, and as I'm making it, I don't know yet what style of loop chain. I'm just going to start with some ribbons, cutting some ribbons, and then playing around with the style and seeing what I like. And like I said, I don't know for sure what other braids and chains I'm going to make for the mum. If you guys have any suggestions or stuff you'd like to see, go ahead and let me know, and I'll try to do those. I would like to try, I haven't tried Connie's corset or ladder, the cottage corset or cottage ladder yet. So I would definitely like to try one of those on it. And I hope I don't forget. But I have not made one yet, so I would like to do that. And maybe the zigzag braid that TJ came up with. I made several of those last season. I really, really like those. So maybe one of those. Like I said, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know. I'll probably do at least 5 braids or chains on it. I may do some like some love braids or military braids and then loop them from one end to the other, or accordion braids to do that. I haven't decided yet. I just kind of go, when I start the mum, I just kind of go with the flow and kind of let it make itself. So we'll see where it goes. I may do a heart chain. I don't know. Y'all just let me know. You give me some advice on what you want to see. This is the first 2, so I'll make, like I said, I'll make at least 3 more, up to 7. So 5 to 7 total. Not in a hurry to make this. Like I said, it's going to be for my Etsy shop. So that's makes it easy for me to share with y'all when I am making a pre-made mum, because there's not some rush to get it out. And then you guys can also help make it. So this is that mylar or foil ribbon that Connie got me, I think from Southern Floral, if I remember correctly. I'm sure she'll let us know in the comments or chat if I don't remember correctly. So there is some spots on the outer part of the ribbon that I have to cut off because it was taped. And so it's kind of messed up, so I had to cut off those 2 little pieces. But other than that, it looks good. I think this would be really pretty with some stickers on it. Like, I think it'll, since it's kind of mirrored looking, you put like white stickers on it, I think they'll really pop. So I'm just doubling them up with the white acetate or white luster. It's just going to make the loops thicker, and that which will make them hold their shape better and just look better. And I like doing different colors, like one color on the inside, one color on the outside, because I just think it gives it a nice little contrast, even if it's white and silver. Now I'm just playing around with the loops to kind of see what style of loop chain do I want to make with these. I can double them up like this. I could do a single. So this is something I like to do when I don't have a concrete idea of how I want to do the loop chain in my head. So I'll just kind of play around with them and then play around with the length that I need. Okay, so here I do make a mistake. I don't know if you guys probably can't see it since it's not all on screen. But for some reason, I got 36 inches in my head. I guess because I was trying to decide earlier how long I wanted to make the mum. So I cut that diamond dust at 36 inches instead of 30, or, a little over 30. And so here I am playing around with this, and so I'm going to make it too long. It's okay. It's going to be fine. I make mistakes. I want to show that because, when you're making a mum, you're always going to, something's not going to go right. You're going to mess something up. But sometimes it ends up being like something that works in your favor. So again, I'm trying to figure out how I want them spaced out. And then I just decided to do like a simple straight line with them, but leaving space. So then I'll go back later and add some bling. I don't do that yet on this video, but I will do that later. here's where I realized that I made it too long. And instead of going back, yeah, that's where I put my head down and like, really? So instead of going back and redoing the whole thing, I'm just going to trim it off. And instead of having, what was it, 10, I think, I'm just going to have 8. Yeah, so I'm just going to have 8. And I just trim that off. But I'm not going to throw that piece away with the 2 loops. I may add that on there somewhere and put the year on it or something. I don't know. I'm going to save it and possibly do something with it. It may end up being some cool little piece on there. You never know. Like I said, sometimes those mistakes end up being something that works great. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this video, and I will video everything else that I make for this month, or I'll try to, and then I'll put it in a playlist as a series so you can watch them one after another. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, comment. Please be kind with those comments. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Happy mum making, and have a wonderful day, you guys. Thank you.